Welcome to Built on Air, a podcast and video series about all things Airtable. Today we're joined by Mike and Marzano to give us an inside look at Airconnex, a comprehensive tool adding unique features heretofore unavailable with Airtable alone. The ability to create beautiful websites run on a single Airtable base. While Mike is still finalizing Airconnex, the final product will create beautiful front-end websites via an easy-to-use interface for anything from directories to e-shops. Mike talks about the development process and the challenges he faced when creating something like Airconnex. We get a demo of Airconnex in its current form, and while some features are still in the works, Mike extends an invitation to join the open beta to anyone who'd like to build their own Airtable-run website today.
So this is kind of an example of a project. So what you're seeing right now is the homepage, obviously, of a website. And this website is entirely built on top of Airtable data. So going back to what I was explaining before about what this tool is for, it's really like an end-to-end tool. So I've got here a little diagram of how I usually do my projects. So of course, I'll be lying on the couch or what have you and have an idea and just begin to map it out on paper. So I'll write it down. Then I'll come to some kind of diagram software and refine it a little bit more, get the process figured out. So in this example, I've got I want to make a website where a client can sign up. Then they can create a project. Once they've created a project, we'll have an automation run. So that can be done from Airtable again. So Airtable detects that the client has added a record to a base, and then it can send an email to records in another base or in another table rather. And then these people will get a notification and they will go and log in, and then they will complete a writing task. So this is like a content management system, but with interactions. So once I've kind of planned it out on paper, I'll do a little diagram and focus on just understanding the workflows in my head, what pages need to be created and who's going to be using them. And then I jump over into Airtable, and then I can import that data into Airconnex. So the process kind of goes planning and then the database and the workflow in the database. So I'll build it all in Airtable, and then I can connect these tables and import the data and synchronize it with the Airconnex system. So a little demo of how it works. The client would visit the website, and then the homepage, of course, is fairly straightforward. A lot of web page builders can do that. That's no problem. Then what we've got here is like a page with a login, a login challenge. And so what this is doing is it's saying that people need to obviously log in order to see the contents of the page, and all of the accounts that are able to log in are again stored in Airtable. So the clients can either sign themselves up, or after they've signed themselves up, they can then log in. So I'm just going to log in as an administrator. I can then emulate any of these users using the tools at the bottom right here. I can just log in as any of the users in that base. And here we've got the data from another table in Airconnex. So how this works is, again, it's mirroring what would be the database structure in a SQL database, so a proper website database, and we've just recreated that with Airtable. So all of these websites are linked to the client, and the client is the account that I've just logged in as. So I'm logged in as Mike Airconnex, and now when I'm viewing the list of websites on this page, I can see all of the ones that are linked to my account, but I can't see any of the ones that are not linked to my account. And I can add a new one here. So I might just try and do that quickly. Test breakfast. And I'll skip the branding options. Now, when I click add and then we switch over, you can see that it's written.
That was quick. My goodness.
Yeah,
there was like a 1 second delay.
Yeah, I mean, usually when I do these, I try and record, like I'm recording the actual screen and I have it side by side. So a lot of the time I get into trouble when doing demos with just one Chrome browser because I click the button and then by the time I'm trying to show you the data being added, it's already there and you can't really see anything happening.
What a wonderful problem to have.
yeah. I mean, the Airtable API is pretty amazing that they leave it kind of unmetered and it has a really good rate limit, so it's able to be used for this purpose. So when I added that project, I didn't add a logo or any branding colors. So at the top right, you can see it there. It's just a square without the necessary graphics, but
Sure.
we can make these required fields as well to make it all working properly, but it's just a demo. So then if I click on one of these, I'm going to enter a page that is linked to the record that I've clicked on. Okay, so we kind of, as we navigate the website, we're also navigating Airtable. So at each stage, I'm kind of traversing my way through. So at the beginning, I had to choose which client I am. And then we were viewing which websites are owned by my clients. And now we've clicked through to a specific website. It's kind of like clicking on this view in Airtable to view a single record. So now I've got all of the data for ClickFire Studio website on the page that I'm viewing. So the logo is up there and the branding. And these are articles that are underneath that website. So again, the website is linked to the articles table, and the articles are reciprocally linked to the website table here. So all of these articles, some of them are for ClickFire Studio, some of them for another website. And so I can add an article as well using pretty much the same method. So test article, I have to give it a topic, and I can choose the length. Now if I add the article, we should see it appear. No, we got an error. Okay. The topic field I removed. I might try and quickly fix that on the fly, but in general, the article should then appear in the loop. So I'll just go to my builder here and rebuild this form. So this is how the form builder works. I've got this in the editor at least. I've got this in the yeah, sorry, we're getting some bugs here as well. So name was these fields are coming from a different table. I'll have to review this and get back to you. But this is a work in progress. You know, this project I'm halfway through building, so I'm gonna finish that off. I'll also upload it to YouTube when it's done, and I'll record like the build process. But we can skip over to something that is a bit more exciting, maybe, and that is like this e-commerce set of features that I'm working on right now.
Okay.
So, similar story, trying to use Airtable again for like e-commerce inventory and that type of thing. So we've built in this list of products, and that's synchronized in to a shop page. Then if I click on the product, I can see it. And now I've got this, it's a add to cart form. I can choose the quantity, and then when I submit that, it's going to add a line item. So You can see there's quite a bit of linking going on here. It's a little bit more complex than your average setup, but ultimately when we deploy this, we'll give Airtable templates as well to set up these tables the way they need to be done. But I'll just repeat that and then try and quickly skip over so that we can see it appearing.
Yep.
Okay, so we saw a new one added there. And now we have in this cart drop down a bit of a summary of the things that we've added. We can go and view the cart. And this is also giving us a summary. So what this is showing us is actually the orders table with a roll-up on the items that are linked to the order. So it's a little bit complicated. It's easier to understand just on the front end because of course we're all familiar with how e-commerce websites work on the front, but
Right.
the database can be a little bit more challenging to wrap your head around.
It is. I know a lot of people aren't necessarily familiar with the concept of a junction table, but the reason that you've set it up the way that it is because if you have more than one product being sold in a particular order, you might buy 5 balls, but 10 bats. And you need to be able to tell the system the exact quantity of each. And that's why each of those line items is its own record.
Exactly, yeah. And then you know this is where the relational aspect of Airtable is the key to everything, is that you can have these many to one relationships. So many line items in one order and a quantity for each line item. So can see here as well that I can change the quantity, and each time I change it, it's going to go back and repeat the process. So it's updated the quantity of the last line item to 2. And then because I've done this calculation in Airtable, it's pulled back in the total again from Airtable. So I guess the point of this is that it's super easy, of course, to build cart systems in Shopify or anything else. But when you want to start customizing things, if you have some kind of calculation that you need to do, with this arrangement, you can actually customize it yourself. So you can come in here to items and say that I want the total price to be, the quantity times the product price plus 20, for instance. So I've just added that there. And then that gets rolled up into the order total. And so each time I change this, the order total gets updated in Airtable and then on the front end as well. And then I can proceed to a checkout. And this is where I'm just filling in the checkout form. So I'll just add anything here. Of course, you would need the address. You would need more details, but this is just a demo. And then once I click place order, it's going to then update the order with my name. So before, these are kind of unfinished or abandoned checkouts, basically, the ones that don't have a name or any details. So you can review the system. You can build views in here that can filter out your abandoned cart ratios and import and export and tie it in with Zapier and everything.
I was about to point that out, that I actually love that it captures orders that have not yet been set exactly for the purpose that you just listed. Now a bunch of people are kind of interested in product 104, but haven't committed to buying it. Maybe the price is a little too high, and you could take that information and adjust your parameters and all that kind of stuff. That's brilliant, and I love it.
Exactly. What I haven't done here that is definitely doable as well is like inventory. You could have another table that had the number of items that you've had from your supplier. And then you do a calculation on that versus the number sold. And when it reaches 0, you can have a condition on the add to cart block that makes it disappear. So that all works. And the final thing that we're just working on right now is this Stripe integration. So this, I hope, will just take me to a Stripe checkout. So this is pretty easy to set up. If you have a Stripe account, you can set this up and then you just put your like test API keys into the Airconnex system, and it's gonna be fully functional when we are done. Right now, it's just not quite finished. It does get instant notifications though, so it's kind of it's a little bit pointless to be able to collect payments if you can't then immediately confirm with your customers. Maybe not pointless, but can be a bit irritating for your customers when they feel like, oh, I've just handed over my money and now they're telling me to go away and wait to find out if I'm going to get my product or not. So we've set it up so that the instant notification comes back. And then from here, the final thing that I haven't connected up yet is the payment can be added to Airtable as well. And then you can use a new set of calculations to determine that there's no more money outstanding for this particular order. And you can have this order system connected to your supplier. If you're a drop shipper, you can have an automated email when an order enters a view. So you would have the view filtered to paid, and then when a new order is paid for, you can have it automatically go off to your supplier and so on. So we're trying, big aspirations. It's all complicated, but it's amalgamizing as we speak. Every day we're fixing bugs and improving things, and I hope that when it's finished, it'll have some pretty wide appeal. But anyone can jump on and start messing around with it, and I welcome them to try and break it as much as possible. I really need some feedback.
I know for a fact it has an incredible wide appeal as it is right now, even as it stands unfinished. This is really, really great. Airtable is a visually appealing app where it's, kind of easy to jump in and kind of figure out where things might go, different field types and things like that. The more you use it, the more it makes sense. But one of its major drawbacks is that it's not quite a front-end system. If you want people who aren't in your company to edit things, and technically buying a series of items is editing your base, because you're adding records and you're, affecting roll-ups and all of that. Airtable isn't quite set up to do that on its own. And so seeing something like Airconnex, which lets people log in to a site and say, show me all of my orders. I mean, I shouldn't know anything about Jane Smith's orders at all. And your system is a great way of having people only get access to the data that they should have access to, interact with it in a standardized way. The quantity field, for instance, just adding a plus or a minus, et cetera, and then executing items in your base, all without having to look at Airtable itself.
Yeah, that's the goal ultimately. I mean, that's what people are doing with every website. What they're not seeing is that as they proceed to interact with the website, they're interacting with the database. The website itself, like the files and the code, really are just kind of a translation layer. The database is the key to everything, and Airtable is ultimately a database application, albeit like a leaps and bounds ahead of everything else in terms of like usability. But I'm trying to kind of leverage Airtable's ease of use with something to go on top of it. But it's all about Airtable. None of this would be possible without them. So if they're watching, I love you guys.
We'll tweet at them when this episode releases. Of course, we all love Airtable. That's why this podcast exists, because we like seeing people build something really, really cool with Airtable. And you've built a tool that people can build their own tools with using Airtable. So it's like a nesting doll of
Inception.
Yes. Very great. Do you have an estimated timeline of when maybe this would be more complete? If you don't feel pressured.
Like I have a couple of users who are launching projects now, although they're launching their own project as beta. So I'm getting feedback through them. So that's really great. I'm working as fast as I can. It's really hard to put estimates on these things. I was taught when I was young that whatever your estimate is, you should triple it. I've already gone, I think, over like 5 times more than what I thought to get to this point. But I will conservatively say that we'll be launching properly by 2021. So January 1st, get at me. But anyone can use it in, like right now, it's in like open beta effectively. And the more testers, users, people can use it. I'm here like all day long wishing that somebody would contact me and tell me what's wrong with it or what's right with it. Like feedback is the key really to getting it done. It's too complicated for me to find all the bugs by myself. So I guess I'm putting the call out to the community. If you can help me out, then I'll make it worth your while. I'll give you a lifetime discount. I'll be your best friend. Just come in and like test it out and tell me what's wrong with it, and then I'll fix it and we can move forward from there. But 2021, I'm hoping.
Okay. Well, you heard it here, folks. You right now have the ability to try Airconnex, and if you break it, that's not necessarily a bad thing. So we will, make sure everyone has the link to get to it. It's Airconnex, AIRCONNEX, right?
Yeah, unfortunately named.
It makes sense to me. Thank you so much for being on the podcast and showing this with us. And I am certain that most of our viewers will at least have an idea of something that they might be able to use this for, especially if they have an e-commerce business like the one we're kind of looking at right now, or even if it's just a way to display their projects very nicely. Excellent work. Thank you so much for being here.
My pleasure. Thank you very much for having me.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the episode, be sure to give it a like or hit us up on social at BuiltOnAir. We always love to hear your comments and suggestions. And don't forget to subscribe to catch new episodes when they release. It helps us keep the podcast going.